Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here with you this afternoon. And our third Back to Business webinar. This week, we're very lucky to have John Kulow and Doug Hoffort from Monterey Country Club in the Coachella Valley. Also in the background, if you will, Bryce Seaver producing this great webinar, and then of course Nikki Gatch, our Assistant Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer, who is also in the background and will provide the entertainment in regards to the Q&A. We encourage you throughout this presentation to provide John and Doug with questions. The whole idea behind the Back to Business webinars is to provide you information as we open and reintroduce the game of golf to Southern California. Every county now is providing golf, every county in the state actually, as golf courses open. So we're very, very happy about that. We want to make sure that we're fulfilling our responsibility to provide an environment that's safe and healthy, and to provide a great outdoor activity for our golfers. This has been a weekly program. We will go as long as necessary, maybe another week or two. We know everybody's getting busy, and we appreciate that. And so keep looking at the emails on our website, scpga.com, in regards to the next Back to Business webinar. With that said, it's my pleasure now to call John Kulow and Doug Hoffort. Gentlemen, have a good time and look forward to the webinar. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, TA. Thank you very much. My name is John Kulow. We're here with Doug Hoffort. I'm the general manager here at Monterey Country Club. Doug is our head golf professional. And it's been an interesting story. We're in light of COVID-19, where we've gotten back to servicing our members in the capacity that we're able to. We had a conference call. We're an American Golf facility, and we had a late night conference call on Thursday night, March 19th, that went to about 10 after midnight, where our regional vice president was splitting his time on the conference call with us and on the other line with the company that owns us, Drive Shack. And at the end of that call, we shut down basically as of noon the next day, and we were closed completely from March 20th to April. Our food and beverage was closed. Carry-out food and beverage was closed from March 20th to April 10th, and then we opened up the food and beverage for takeout, carry-out lunch only, and then we were able to open golf operations on April 22nd. So when we did that, at the same time we opened up the snack bar as well. We call it the Patio Cafe, and we moved the carry-out lunch down to the Patio Cafe on the same day that we opened up golf to service the golfers, and also to continue the carry-out. And something else we added to the fold, since we're in a gated community, we added delivery for as a service to our membership. We have a lot of our members are in that high-risk age demographic. So a lot of people have in the community. We have 1,206 homes inside the gates here at Monterey, and a lot of members and homeowners didn't want to leave their home, but wanted to support the club. And it was a service that we could provide, where we would deliver breakfast or lunch to homes in the community via a golf cart, and spending the majority of our time delivering on the golf course. It's significant because if you get into delivery on the normal, out in the world outside the gates. By automobile, you have to contest with insurance changes to your business, and by sticking to golf cart delivery, and by traversing the golf course mainly to get from one condo to the next, we avoid a lot of that insurance, transportation liability stickiness. So it's been great. I mean, we haven't, it's hit and miss. So much of it is not, we're a dues business. We're a private club, and the only thing that we really profit from is the dues line. Everything else is really an amenity and an expense that supports that dues line. So it's not as if we've been doing gangbusters out of the patio cafe since opening, but the focus there is a service provided to our membership, because a lot of it is a service that we provide to our membership, because when we did close on March 20th and remain closed from a golf and tennis and pickleball, we have a very large pickleball operation here as well. We have 20 pickleball courts, 13 tennis courts, 2 bocce lanes, and a fitness center. And on March 20th, in addition to April 22nd, when we opened golf up in a limited capacity, we also opened up pickleball and tennis. No bocce, because you can't have multiple people touching the same balls. And the fitness center remained closed as well. But I digress. Sorry about that. Being closed from March 20th to April 22nd, it was decided by club management, American Golf, our owner, Shin Yu, and the support of our member advisory board, that we were going to credit back 25% of the March dues to the membership and 50% of the April dues. So now that we're in May and we've moved back to charging full dues, and we are conducting a competitive market analysis of other clubs here, non-equity clubs in the Coachella Valley, and basically nobody's giving discounts on dues anymore because of COVID from May on. So we followed suit, and we're charging full dues. So we need to work extra hard and with extra diligence to provide as much service as we possibly can, given the fact that the clubhouse is technically closed, the fitness center is closed. We're servicing tennis, pickleball, and golf in a limited capacity. No organized play, no tournament play, no men's club, no ladies club, no skins games, no scorecards, no pencils. We'll get into all that in a second here when Doug takes over. But we try to provide as much service as possible, given the fact that we've returned to full dues. And so, it's tricky. And, long story short, everybody's been inconvenienced and penalized by COVID-19. The individuals, the businesses, the organizations, and, our membership is no different. So, we're definitely all in this together, but the focus here is to provide as much service as we possibly can, so as to stay within the guidelines of Riverside County mandate in terms of providing a healthy and safe recreational activity for our members and community members to take part in. So we'd like to talk a little bit about these 5 categories. We are open for golf. We've got a golf course setup, which definitely takes a lot of consideration, and it's a different ballgame out there. Golf operations, food and beverage, general communication to golfers, and managing the expectations. And we're going to talk about golf course setup. I'm going to turn it over to Doug Hoffort, our head golf professional.
Actually, probably like a bunch of you guys, we actually were prepared before March 20th when we closed. We had actually, the day before, had cut the pool, I don't know what you call them, noodles, and we were getting ready to put those into the cups. We had already removed our ball washers, had removed the garbage cans, removed the rakes from the golf course already, So before we closed down officially, we were already getting ready for everything that was going to be primed for opening. So on April 22nd, when we did open, we already had the noodles in place. Everything was off the golf course that people could touch. We've actually even removed our tee markers. We're allowing the golfers to choose whichever tee area that they want to, using the SCPGA monuments if they want to from a perspective, so that we don't have a lot of touching and people getting concerned about where things are. So we were prepared to open up better than I thought we would be. Some of the things that we did not open our putting green immediately. We did not open our driving range immediately. We had to take some time to figure out what to do with that. What we did with the putting green is we removed all holes, and then just reminding people to use social distancing so that we didn't have any point that people were actually trying to get to. They could sit on the side of the green and hit a couple putts, sit in the middle of the green. They could keep their distance. Driving range, we normally go with 30 to 35 stalls. We've knocked it down to 20 stalls. We bought 20 small baskets, and that's all we have for our golfers that are warming up. So 20 people can be on the range at one time. We've got enough room and enough distance between all of the spacing on the driving range for that. And then we've also asked that only the golfers that are golfing on the day of are using the driving range or utilizing the driving range, because we didn't want a whole bunch of people just coming down and practicing on the driving range while golfers were trying to warm up. So we've had a little bit of pushback from that, but we found that most of our tee times are ending in the 10 o'clock range. So from 10 till 11, when the range is still open, a few people have come down and utilize the driving range. But again, we're only providing them with a small bucket of balls when they're out hitting. We did eliminate scorecards. One of the reasons for that was the touching. We've got a 3-course rotation here, so it's not a one standard scorecard, so the people would have to know which course rotation they were using. So it would create a lot of traffic through the pro shop to come and collect the scorecards, as well as us being able to give them the correct scorecards. The other one too was quite a few of our groups wanted to do skins games. I'm trying to detract or deter them from doing that. So the idea would be is if I don't provide them with a scorecard and they just use golf as a way to get out of the house and enjoy, I don't have to worry about scorecards or pencils and people handing scorecards to each other. So that was one of the things that we had taken away that seems to be something that they want back, but not anything that we're looking at too quickly.
And typically, under normal operating circumstances, we are a private club, and we do have pyramids or den caddies that sit on the range in each stall. I think Doug said that we typically space the dividers on the grass range by 6 feet. And here you see that we can't have the balls out there because, again, just like not having cups on the putting green, we can't be funneling human contact into the same places. Doors are basically, during our operating hours for the golf shop, we do require masks indoors because that's consistent with the Riverside County mandate. So during all operating hours, all doors are propped open. And it's kind of a challenge here because we're in the Coachella Valley. Things are starting to get on the warm side. So to keep people from having to open the doors and touch the handles, all doors are propped open during operating hours, so it gets warm inside. Flies are also an issue. But we've gone from that den caddy and pyramid setup on the range and a 6-foot spacing between stalls to a 10 to 12 foot spacing. And we've got these little warm-up buckets that we purchased that are only for the golfers that are warming up and have a tee time prior to play. No practice is available. So I mean it's a challenge because we're providing as much service as we can given the restrictions, but a lot of the membership, it takes, we'll talk a little bit about communication here shortly, but we need to manage the expectations, and that's why we made that a bullet on today's presentation, because we're providing as much service as we possibly can via the spacing on the range and the range availability for members that have a tee time, and not allowing any practice to take place. but, you know, that's not the service expectation that we normally have here. So it falls on us to consistently communicate that the reason why we're doing the warm-up buckets and the reason why the spacing on the range is such, because if we're going from 6 feet in the per stall to 10 to 12 feet, you know, we got half as many available spaces on the grass deck, and I think our grass deck is probably 80 yards wide. So, you know, other clubs in the area have only allowed something else to take note of for all of you that are freshly opening up now in LA County. A lot of clubs in the Coachella Valley are only allowing the group that's in the hole to warm up, basically. So they're only letting 4 to 8 people hit balls at a time on the range in that third slot prior to teeing off. So basically, you got the people that are teeing off, you have the people that are on deck that are spaced back and they're not able to go to the tee at that time, so you need staff to administer that spacing. And then you have the next group that's in the hole, and that's the group that has basically 10 minutes to warm up.
The other thing that we're not doing, again, probably mandated by quite a bit, we do not do bag storage. So we've had quite a few of our members take their clubs, and now they're either taking them home or leaving them in their car. We do have a few of our members that are still utilizing our bag storage area, but they've gotten to know that the staff can't touch their or will not touch their golf bags. So they've been utilizing that area on their own. No washing of clubs for the members. So again, another amenity that our members are used to of us cleaning their clubs after their round. It's something that we are not doing and have advised the members that we're not providing that service for their safety as well as the safety of our staff.
So you see the dynamic there where, you know, members are paying, you know, they're paying dues for services they've been accustomed to over the years, and now, you know, now no one can get their clubs out. They have to, you know, they have to leave the clubs on the cart, take them home with them, or drive to the course and, you know, lug the clubs back and forth. We can't clean them as we normally did. So it's just, we need to be able to stay consistent in our communication, to express that it's not, you know, it's not us doing this by choice. It's, you know, for their own safety, and we're trying to eliminate the touch points. We've got some questions that have come in here. Let me see here. Okay, it looks like this is a question from Jeff Johnson. It says, initially, allow me to say, okay, well, thank you for all that's always been were there F&B minimums that had to be waived? Club storage fees, trails fees, private golf carts, etc. Yes, indeed, Jeff. We had to credit back a number of things. We have annual cart trail fees, and yes, in addition to the dues credit, because we also have members that prepay for a small discount at the beginning of the year, and their funds go into a prepaid account, and then we have members that pay monthly without the prepayment discount, and then we have the annual trail fees as well. So we gave 25% back regardless of whether you were billed monthly or if you prepaid. If you prepaid and you got the discount in the beginning of the year in December when you did prepay, that changes your monthly because it's got the discount in there, and then you got 25% of that for March, 50% of that for April. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't apples to apples. You know, we had to go member to member and determine what they were paying per category. Also, we have other members that were on a first or second year incentive program, and they were paying something different. So the behind the scenes logistics that went into assigning the credits was challenging, very challenging, because we have so many different fees that the various memberships are paying. Because we have a consistent service model here that we preach across all of our teammates here. And our number one goal is to build member trust in everything that we do. And we arrived at that goal, that catchphrase, if you will, because it applies to every single teammate on property in any department. So if our number one goal is to build member trust in everything we do, that goal can be achieved and focused on by janitorial. That goal can be focused on and achieved through food and beverage. That goal could be focused on and achieved by our golf department, tennis department, pickleball department, accounting. All of us can use that one unified goal to bring us together, to keep us on the same page, and to put the member experience first. And for us, it's building member trust in everything that we do. And I really, the staff is, they hear me preach that ad nauseum, but we buy into it because it doesn't matter what you do here at Monterey Country Club. If your number one goal is to build member trust in everything you do, it's customizable to your department and your specific job, and also, again, consistently puts the member experience first. And when it comes to accounting, because I spend a lot of my time in accounting as the general manager, building member trust in everything that we do, we better make sure that those dues are right, because the last thing we want is the membership doubting their statement every month, because that's you're losing member trust before they even set foot on property, because they can't trust the billing of the goods and services on their monthly statement. So
from a food and beverage standpoint, we did not have minimums, but we did have what is known as our premier. That was discounted.
Yeah, so no, actually that was credited back. We don't have Doug's right, we don't have a food and beverage minimum here at Monterey, but we do have a program called Premier, and it's tied in with, it's on the American Golf side, it's called Premier. On the Arnold Palmer Golf Management side, it's called Palmer Advantage. But basically, and I used to work for Club Corp years ago. It's called Signature Gold for Club Corp. It's basically where it's a dues-based food and beverage discount program that also has a reciprocation incentive in there as well. But basically, our members pay $60 a month, and they can get half price on all food, and they also get once a month access to any club in the Arnold Palmer or American Golf portfolio for a cart fee. So basically, since the club was shut down and all the other clubs in our portfolio were shut down, the decision was made after the fact in May, actually late April, to go back and credit members that had Premier for April and May. So that discount had to be put in there. So we credited back the Premier program 100%. And so as long as the clubhouse stays closed, and a lot of the clubs in our portfolio are not allowing guest play, they're only allowing member access. Now, we lay out the service standards and the expectation, and based on member demand or pushback, if you will, we've acquiesced a little bit to keep that member experience first. Like when we first opened up for golf access on April 22nd, we were pretty hard and fast that we weren't going to allow any guest play. We even thought about not allowing any non-resident member play. But again, since we're charging dues, we have to let members come into the community and play. I mean, that's what they're paying dues. We have to, from a fairness standpoint, have to let all members have access to what we can provide, whether they're homeowners inside the community or if they're members, non-resident members that have a membership but live outside the gates, because we have a fair amount of non-resident members as well. So basically, we got a fair amount of requests for guests after being open for 2 weeks, and we didn't publicize it, we didn't advertise it, but we started allowing guests. Another thing was also to coincide with the Riverside County mandate. When we first opened up on April 22nd, we were requiring masks on the golf course as well, not only inside the golf shop or inside the locker room or in highly trafficked areas like our cart staging area and our gazebo area. We were requiring golfers to have masks while they played. And so, and that went the same for pickleball and for tennis as well, which made things extremely difficult because, it's like I said, it's getting warmer out here, and members that are engaging in a high level of physical activity like tennis and pickleball, to be wearing the mask, can be a safety concern on another front because, they could not be getting enough oxygen breathing through the mask while exerting themselves. So after 2 weeks, I think Riverside County
voted, and then effectively on it was the Friday, would have been the first.
Yeah.
They allowed, we are still requesting or demanding that they have to have face coverings when they come into the building or around the clubhouse, but once they're out golfing, as long as they are maintaining social distance, then they can take the masks off. I still see a few people on the driving range with masks on. I don't know of any golfers that are out on the course with masks on, but that comes into the next part of it, is we're starting to get reports from our homeowners that people without masks are coming close to their patios looking for their errant golf shots. So it is something that we've got to now re-educate our membership that hit a ball into someone's patio, leave it alone, because that person doesn't want any traffic into their backyard or within 6 feet of their property. So it is something that we've got to now really educate our golfers that they need to stay away from the homes looking for errant golf shots.
Because, you know, that's another example of where social distancing has really been a game changer, because there's areas, basically what separates the country club from the homeowners association is the OB stakes. And depending on where the sun is and where shade happens to be falling at a given time of the day, members, when they approach a tee box or near a green, it would be customary, or, you know, the norm for them to pull off the cart path and park in a shaded area that is outside the OB stakes, technically off the country club property, and now very close to a homeowner's patio, and it's infringing on the social distancing that the given homeowner is now most comfortable with. So that's been a whole thing, because during the time that we were closed, when there was no golf from March 20th to April 22nd, of course we those of us that are in the Coachella Valley know about the mandate that originally had no golf all the way till June 19th, because there was a lot of pushback in the Coachella Valley from clubs where members you know, thought that the golf should have never closed down, and so that was the vocal majority during that closure time. And then when we did open up, well, then the people that were very comfortable with, you know, non-golfers essentially, that were very comfortable with us being closed, when we did open up, they had a lot of concerns about us opening up. And so when we opened up and mandated that golfers wear face masks on the golf course, basically, initially, they would only wear the masks around in the presence of staff. And so I would be marshaling the course, Doug would be marshaling the course, his staff would be marshaling the course, and we'd come up on a group and they'd see us and they'd go reach for their masks and put them on. And we had to kind of convey to them, it's like, guys, you don't put the mask on for me. I mean, the homeowners, there's a lot of people in the community that are not enthusiastic about us opening up for golf, because they think that we should be, you know, under a more, you know, shelter in place, and don't think that it's safe for us to be out here. Those are the people that are, you know, not just calling the golf shop saying that there's groups not wearing their masks. That contingency was taking photos of the members not wearing masks and sending them to Riverside County, because, I mean, you know, we could get, you know, they had to be conveyed, communicated to the membership that, you know, we go through all this effort to open the club, and, you know, if we are reported to Riverside County that we're allowing golf without masks, we can get shut down again. So, you know, thank goodness that only went on for a couple of weeks, and now the golfers are able to take their masks off on the course. But there's just so many little things in we'll get back to, let's see here. Where's your mix? We got to get back. Okay, so here we're on food and beverage. Let's go back to.
Just the other thing that is helping us out from a standpoint of golf operations and communicating with our golfers, we've been averaging about 135 golfers a day. Generally speaking, we're closing the shop at 12:30. I get a few members that like to go out and play in the afternoon. Last week, with all of the heat, it kind of deterred people. This week, we've got a few more people that want to go out in the afternoon. But generally speaking, we've got 135 customers that we communicate. We use 4Ts for our online booking service. It also gives us a chance to email all the people that are on the tee sheet. We have the email addresses for them. So we've been using the 4Ts communication to all of our members that are playing golf to let them know about the face coverings, let them know about the food operations, let them know about tee times and what we're doing from the driving range perspective. So from the most part, I want to say I may have had one customer in the first couple of weeks that showed up without a mask, and for the almost every single one of them has at least tried to follow our guidelines. There's those that we still need to remind on a daily basis of keeping the social distancing. They still want to talk to their friends that they haven't seen in a while. They still want to be able to talk to their neighbors and stay too close. So it is something that we're still monitoring, social distancing, especially around the clubhouse. Again, I don't think that's going to end anytime soon, because as more people start to want to play golf, the weather for the next couple of weeks here is going to be ideal. So we're going to have more golfers out in the next probably week to 10 days.
So just other items on the golf course setup that had to be taken into consideration. With the flags, we've got the noodles that we've cut and stuffed in the holes, basically to keep the ball from going down to where members' hands touch the sides of the cup when they retrieve their ball. Flags are to stay in at all times. This is educated and communicated to the membership at check-in that, you know, they're not to touch the flags. There's no tee markers on the course. That one between you guys and I think we probably could have the tee markers out there, but the consensus is to not have them out there so that members are free to tee off from wherever they want, again, to keep traffic away from the same area, so to speak. You know, that's why the ball washers were removed. That's why the benches were removed, garbage cans and rakes. Now, when we first opened up, we only had three maintenance, golf course maintenance personnel. So when we first, and that's on a team that's historically 21, 22 guys deep. So when we first opened up for golf, the bunkers were not being maintained, and so they were played as ground under repair. Again, as we move into May and we're charging full dues, we brought back more staff, and now with the membership paying full dues, the expectation is to get the entire service product restored to them, and that includes the bunkers. So we cleaned up the bunkers, did the edging, raked them out, tilled them up, and now they're in play again, but we still have the dilemma of no rakes. And so some things that we're looking at in terms of being able to still deliver the service of good bunkers and a realistic golf experience that you know has penal bunkers involved. We're looking at issuing rakes to each member. So basically, when you think about all the rakes that we have, you know, it's like, well, how could you buy 500 rakes or 400 rakes and give them to your members? We can't justify that kind of expense. We actually have close to that number of rakes in our inventory, so the actual expense that we'd incur buying more rakes would be pretty nominal, which surprised me, because, you know, when the members, again, we roll out a certain policy that's consistent with the Riverside County mandate, and we pick and choose what we're allowed to deliver on in terms of staying compliant with the mandate, and also what addresses the member pushback or the member demand. You know, just like initially we did not let anybody come out to hit balls. You had to have a tee time, and you could only hit balls in the form of a warm-up basket prior to your tee time. But then after our tee times peter out about 9:30, the range had been closing at 11. If members come out, from 9:30 to 11, we have been letting them hit those warm-up balls even though they don't have a tee time, because again, it's consistent with us being able to deliver that service and coincide with the Riverside County mandate, and also for our member experience to do what we can to provide as much service as we possibly can given the restrictions.
Restrooms, Currently, our golf course restrooms, we've got one for the east golf course, one that is shared between the west and the south, and then an additional one on the south. Those have all been closed. So the only restrooms we have available are here in the clubhouse area. Because we are 27 holes, it makes it actually okay. Well, I can't say okay. There are some people that are probably struggling with that. But each one of the nines ends at the clubhouse. So essentially before they tee off, and then at the end of their 9 holes, they can utilize the restrooms. I have heard some of the residents that will stop at their homes as they're driving past if they're playing their course rotation. But again, that is something that haven't had a lot of comments or pushback from the golfers about not having the restrooms closed. They kind of understand, and I guess that's one of the things too. And communicating with the golfers, we're also listening to the golfers. It's amazing of how many people don't have all of the information. A lot of people probably turned off the news weeks ago or months ago and aren't interested in hearing all of the different stories. I know that they don't follow the golf outline or guidelines set up by the state or by the counties. I've gone through and looked at LA County's guidelines. I've gone through and looked at Ventura County and Orange County to see where we were in kind of comparison to other areas. Our membership is not going through that. So a lot of the communication for us is educating them of what it is that we're protecting them from. And it sounds surprising, but there's a lot of people that, 50% of these people don't think it's that big of a deal. The other 50% are afraid to be out here. So again, it's trying to make that 50% that are a little afraid of their health and their safety, and then cautioning those people that aren't, what they need to be watching out for. I think John had pictures of the food and beverage. Again, our grill room is right beside the pro shop. Again, accessible after each 9 holes or before their round of golf. We closed down our water stations. That's our water station at the gazebo. We do not have cups or lids or ice available.
Because historically, we do provide complimentary cups and ice and water and lids and straws from that station. When we opened up, actually even before we opened up, when we closed the club on March 20th, we actually disconnected the water hookup for this Hoshizaki ice machine, because walkers in the community and passers-by would come and grab water or ice water from there. And so as a common touch point, we had to close that down.
Which is mandated by.
And then that is consistent with the mandate for Riverside County. This is our patio grill. As you see on the far right, actually in the distance there is the gazebo, and you could see the ice machine, water machine with the sign on it there. But what we're looking at right here is our patio grill. Typically there's tables that sit underneath all those umbrellas and seating and chairs. And, we can't even have people sitting at tables waiting for their to-go food. So all the more reason to start focusing on, to maintain the member experience and the services we provide, focusing on delivery and focusing on the carryout aspect, because again, that falls into that education and communicating that education to the members, where they may not think there's any harm in eating outside, and not understanding why we've taken away the chairs, why we've taken away the tables. But that is our patio grill area, and there's no seating basically. And at the pool, it looks that way as well. In tennis, in pickleball, and bocce, there's seating areas all over the place. We probably have on property, I want to say probably 400 different outdoor seating areas and areas where there's a good number of chairs. We've had to go and remove all of those, and it's actually become an issue on where we put them. And we've all got them stacked up over in maintenance. This is another angle of the patio grill area. You see the walk-up window, but that's our entire food and beverage operation right there. So, you know, again, all of this really revolves around us having a servant's heart and wanting to deliver the maximum amount of customer service we possibly can, given the restrictions that we're under, and also having empathy for what the members are going through. Not only, you know, the ones like Doug had touched on, the ones that don't think that the virus is that much of a concern and they want their freedoms, and then also creating a safe environment and addressing the concerns from the other side that's, you know, very concerned about their own safety. Many of them have.
Yeah, as an example for that, we have a couple members that call us from the first tee to check in. They'll call us on their cell phone to tell us, because they don't even want to venture into the building, even though we've again provided as much safety as we can for them to come in and check in. But they'll call us, and again, that's the staff is understanding of that. That's one of the things where it says staff expectation is enrolled. A lot of the things that the golf shop staff are getting used to are how to basically look at every situation that's out there and how to address each person individually, rather than as a group of, oh, that person didn't check in. Well, that's fine. That person doesn't want to come into the clubhouse. So it's understanding that. Big thing when we were opening up was again, outlining to the staff what the expectations were, letting them know what we were doing so that they knew what the foam in the bottom of the cup. They knew there was no rakes out on the golf course. They knew there was no restrooms. So again, questions that came to them, they weren't fumbling around trying to figure out what to say to the customer. So they knew the exact same thing that we knew from a management standpoint, as well as what we had communicated out to the members. Again, as John put on there, it's impossible to over-communicate. Again, it's for the safety and well-being of all of the people that are in this community, the golfers as well as the homeowners, and just making sure that they understand that we're keeping up with things as they change. Consistency, again, that's something that is real hard at this point in time, because again, consistency of the warm-up balls are only for those people with tee times. We've had to send golfers away because they thought they could show up here at 8 o'clock in the morning and just go and hit balls and practice. So again, it's the consistency of trying to find the happy medium for them of, you know, after 9:30, 10 o'clock, then come back. And then again, just keeping up with the state and county policies and procedures. I know as we go through phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and as the county gets pressure from the constituents and gets more information, things are going to be changing rapidly. I want to say, from my own personal belief, the touching and the 6-foot spacing is probably going to be with us for several months. There are probably going to be some things that are going to be eased up as they get more information. But again, you got to keep on top of it, because if a customer comes in and knows more than what we do, we've got problems, because they're going to start questioning what we're doing.
And again, that goes back to building member trust in everything that we do in light of COVID-19 and the fact that, you know, things are changing so rapidly in terms of, you know, state mandates and county mandates and what we're allowed to serve and what we're not allowed to serve. We do need to stay on top of that to make sure that we're a source of credibility for our membership, because again, for the Monterey team, it goes back to building member trust in everything that we do. I want to back up a little bit. Jeff Johnson had another question here. When we did open up, were all 27 holes open at the same time? Now, Doug, you want to take that one?
Jeff, we did not open up 27 holes. We actually opened it up with 2 of our 9s to run off one full 18-hole golf course and then another 9 that was filtering into. It was because I didn't want that many golfers here on property. The first day that we opened, we had 170 golfers. We've kind of backed down a little bit.
That's 170 golfers on the 18-hole golf course.
On the 18-hole golf course, which again, I know quite a few of the golf courses in the general area are probably doing quite a few more. But for us, haven't had as much pushback. They have had some challenges trying to get the early morning tee times, as we try and tell them, you know, we're trying to keep the number of people on property, the number of people that are at one point, because with all 3 9s converging on the clubhouse, when we start doing turns from the 27 holes or from each one of the 9s, you've got, again, more contact of people. So we've been lucky to only open up 2 9s each morning. So we basically have eliminated 1 9 from tee-offs, but it's used as our rotation.
And so, consistency, keeping up with the county and state policies, procedure. Okay, here, let's go over to.
It also helped us too. I know that quite a few of them have been mandated. I know LA County is, I believe, a minimum of 10-minute intervals for their tee times. We had not changed our intervals for our tee times.
That's one nice thing that we look at as an advantage of Riverside County, where we haven't. It seems like the mandate is not as stringent in terms of tee time increments, because we've maintained our 8 minutes, and that's been a benefit again to building member trust and being able to accommodate as much play as possible. Because you go to a 10-minute or a 12-minute tee sheet. One of our sister clubs in Carlsbad, El Camino, they've gone to 12-minute tee times, and so basically they got tee times going till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a huge source of a challenge source of member dissatisfaction when you've got that much separation, because you can only accommodate. I mean, you can only accommodate how many?
You only got 24. If you go 12-minute tee times, you're only dealing with 24 golfers per hour, and again, that's where we haven't had with 135 golfers on average. I haven't had the huge demand for getting the other 9, other than the wanting to have different rotations. But we've been varying which tees we're actually starting on consecutive days, so people can have some variety in what they're doing. But again, it would be difficult to try and run all 27 holes or all 3 nines at the same time and try and keep our numbers down with the compaction that we have around our clubhouse area.
So, any other questions out there, guys? We're looking at. Jeff's asking another question here. Is there a junior executive membership, and has that been affected these past few months? We don't have a junior executive membership. Our average age here at Monterey is 71 years old. The young people around the club here at Monterey are people that are in their late 50s. There is no junior executive member, and we have very few memberships that have children even. Because largely the community, it's not a retirement community. It's open to anybody, but just the vast majority demographic here is over the age of 65. But again, all the more reason for us to be hyper focused on the mandate, because we got to keep our members safe, because they're all in the high risk category of becoming seriously ill from the virus if they were to contract it. And again, just managing the expectations and staying positive. It's very hard to focus on building a community of friends and a culture of friends inviting friends to membership here, because we don't have those exact touch points that we're eliminating. We don't have those anymore, and those were the things that tie members to other members. It's like what keeps people in their membership at a club is not so much the golf course conditions. It's not the speed of the greens. It's not the bocce courts. It's not the pickleball courts. It's not the chef and the great steak that he cooks. It's the fact that all their friends are here. And when we are, guarding against the gathering of such groups, it's very difficult to maintain our what we're selling here. So that's definitely a challenge in this time. But all we can do is stay positive and provide the maximum amount of service we can, given the restrictions of the county mandate on golf.
It's interesting too, because the Back to Basics had quite a few members when we first opened up, and we didn't have the driving range, come in after their round and tell us that they played their best round of golf without warming up. And I said, well, I guess the warm up isn't as important, or you're not doing it as properly as you should. So it is something where, again, without a scorecard and without a pencil, they can keep score in their mind, or some of them have brought their little notepads. But it is interesting to see golfers get back to just hitting the ball and enjoying being outside the sport for what it is, rather than what they were trying to do, or maybe trying too hard to do before. So it is some of the things that's surprising out of this, that you do see some people that come out and are enjoying just being outside, and what they were taking for granted from a golf course or from a club perspective, they're happy to be back in. We get probably more thank yous for being open and making it a safe and healthy place for everyone than we get the moans and the groans of things that people are just not used to or don't want to get used to having to do to be at the club. So it is something where, again, out of the 100 and some golfers that we're seeing a day, I might have 10 or 15 that are causing some issues, and you got to kind of watch out for. The other ones are just happy that we're here, excited that we're back and open, and that they get to be outside.
And it was one of the bullets on one of the previous slides, but we talk about staffing levels. Because we are serving a modified product, we only have 25% of our workforce that's back to work here at the club. So obviously, you know where I'm going with this. The 25% of us that are here now, we're wearing, 4 and 5 new hats that we weren't wearing before, and we were wearing multiple hats prior to the virus. And so, I say that Doug is not only, he's our head golf professional, and he's in charge of the golf department and administering golf. He's also the range attendant who's making sure that, when a member comes out with their warm-up bucket and they only hit 5 balls, it's Doug that goes out there and picks those balls up and retrieves them and brings them back to the golf shop and sprays them down with sanitizer. And then that's Doug that goes out and clean picks the range, because we can't leave any balls out there. Basically every day is a clean pick day, because we can't leave those touch points out there for people to come by and pick up. Myself, I've gotten a crash course in accounting since returning to work in April, because again, we haven't had the accounting staff and the firepower in that department.
We also threw John in the pro shop, because I had to go out with one of our other staff members to pick up a dead cart on the golf course. One of our members' carts batteries went down, so today John got to be in the pro shop for a few minutes.
Yeah, for a few minutes. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I see we got 35 members on the call. I don't see any further questions. No further questions. Want to thank everybody for being here. We also we do the Catalyst webinar series every Thursday at 8 a.m. and there's been a wealth of information that we've put out, and on the CMA side of things, I'm also a aspiring member of the CMAA, and there's daily webinars educating the membership on how to provide the most amount of service you can during this challenging environment. Us in the Southern California section, we've stepped it up by offering the PGA member chats and doing Catalyst once a week instead of once every other week. And there's just a lot of information out there if you're looking, and encourage you to take advantage of all of that, because again, it's an ever-changing environment, and if we're going to continue to focus on delivering the most amount of service we possibly can, we've got to stay up with all that information. So,
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
I did have a question. I may have missed it on golf instruction. There's still San Diego County, for example, is still not allowing instruction. We hope that changes very soon. How did you handle golf instruction at Monterey when it came back into business?
We have not, I haven't seen anything from Riverside County not allowing it. From a staffing perspective, there's myself and 2 other PGA members that would be eligible. We have not offered lessons yet. It will be something that we might be looking in after 9:30 or after 10 o'clock, because again, I can't have teaching lessons, but it's something that I've had a few questions about from the membership, but for the most part, as soon as we tell them, hey, let's wait a little bit, they're more anxious to go out golfing. So we haven't done anything from an instruction standpoint. Some of the guidelines that I was looking at is, Again, both have to wear face coverings, so that's going to deter people from wanting to take a golf lesson. The touching, there are some people that can keep their 6-foot distance. It would be difficult for me the way I like to teach. So it is something where I'm just trying to keep them safe and myself safe for the time being. So if things change for us, I want to say it's probably going to be very minimal. We're going into our summer season. Once June hits, we go down to maybe 40 or 50 golfers a day, and they're all done golf by 11 o'clock in the morning. So typically for us, if I give one lesson or two lessons during the summer, I'd be surprised anyway. So I don't see that changing.
That's going to be one benefit for all the clubs in the Coachella Valley. As you know, as we move into move from phase 2 into phase 3 into phase 4, we're all sliding into our summer curriculum. So obviously we provide a lot less service, and the demand for service is a lot less in the summer because a lot of people are gone, and the people that are here are not at the club past 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be easier for us to meet the service expectation, simply because the service expectation is not that intense basically in the summer as it would be in peak season.
Sure, and thank you very much. And again, I liked your comments, particularly about the optics and the perception, because that's so important that all of us in the business are very conscious and take the responsibility to ensure that the perception of golf as the outdoor activity and the optics are proper, and we're watching. So thanks to both, John, to both you and Doug for your time today, and of course for your time always, John, in regards to the Catalyst series every Thursday. So thank you, everybody. We'll look forward to next week and at least one more of these Back to Business webinars. And thanks again for attending. Thanks again to John and Doug, and for Bryce and Nikki and all your help. So good to be with you, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.
Thank you, TA. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.